Hello, this is CaptainxMargret from the Benigns, and I'm bringing you our second State of Decay video. In this video I'm going to go through a lot of the things that Nightmare Mode can hit you really hard with. So I'm going to skip a lot of the basics and move on to the very specific things that you need to look out for when you're trying to go into Nightmare Mode. I'll be covering your people, your base, and what you want to do against certain enemies. As far as people are concerned, you need to be very strict with some of the perks that you upgrade with your certain people. For example, if you've got somebody who has Meal Plan as their hero bonus and Lycanology, you don't want that person to die, so you definitely want to teach them Endurance, simply to give them more health. To be perfectly honest, as far as I'm concerned, you kind of want to focus Endurance more than any of the other ones, and only really focus into swordplay, close combat, and striking when you have a character who has built-in stamina or health, preferably health, because stamina regens. Striking can be good against hordes, you don't really need to dodge, you can just keep swinging because the knockdown's good. Swordplay is obviously the most lethal, but when you're chopping legs off and some of the finisher moves can leave you exposed, so against a lot of hordes it can be problematic if you get trapped. And close combat's okay, especially seeing as you don't need to worry about repairing your weapon, but it doesn't do very much damage, so I'd really only focus on having one person with that you use when you want to be super stealthy. All in all though, I would teach the majority of the people in your base Endurance, simply so you're not fighting off ferals on one side of your base during an attack, you turn around and see somebody getting ripped in half by a juggernaut. You get 3 times the health from Endurance you do from any of the other specializations, and you also get minus injury severity, which is just really good and something that's going to really hit you hard. As far as the rest of the perks are concerned, all you really want from shooting is weapon handling and gunslinger. Weapon handling simply so you don't need to worry about repair costs as much, and gunslinger because it just helps you take out ferals and increases reload speed. It's just a really good one in comparison to sharpshooting or assault, which I think need a buff, to be honest. With wits, I'd focus on resourcefulness and discipline. Resourcefulness gets you that lovely extra inventory slot and 3 extra carrying capacity as far as consumables are concerned. Discipline gives you more stamina and gives you stamina back on melee kills, which is really nice. Scouting and stealth have their place, definitely, but I wouldn't teach that to most of your people. Scouting can be useful, especially seeing as the radar's been turned off, and stealth's pretty good. I'd have 1, maybe 2 survivors who you have that you kind of use your stealth mission people, so teach them stealth, but teach the rest of them resourcefulness or discipline. Acrobatics is decent, but what you really want in Nightmare Mode is stats. Having powerhouse or backpacking can really help you out, simply because backpacking again gives you a ridiculous amount of stamina and carrying capacity, and powerhouse allows you to throw zombies really hard. If you've got a horde coming at you and you've got powerhouse, you grab the front one and you throw it through them. Knock them all down, you can either stab them all to death or you run away. Also, the drop kick can be used to immobilize ferals. You hit that thing right, you can then finish and move it. I would definitely recommend having at least one person in your base with Marathon, however, seeing as it can be really useful if you need to run across the map and get cars. Pop a scent block, get jogging. There are certain things that combo together really nicely. For example, close combat and powerhouse can be nice. Acrobatics can be quite good as well, because when you're running a close combat weapon, the acrobatics jumping move turns into a flying kick which knocks them down, and then you can stab them in the head. But it's possibly not as good as powerhouse because you can throw one enemy through a bunch of enemies and get a bunch of finisher moves from that. So yeah, in conclusion, you want backpacking or powerhouse, discipline or resourcefulness, endurance, and gunslinging or weapon handling. Specialise at your own risk. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying think ahead before you do, simply because the lack of stats can really hit you hard. Moving up the page to traits, all you really want is morale to counteract the high infestations and teeming zombie population morale debuff you get from being in Nightmare, or stat boosts. So you want things like more stamina, more health, injury severity, and obviously things like sleeps on the ground so you don't need to worry about beds too much. Last but not least, we have hero bonuses. Now in Nightmare, all of your survivors consume 50% bonus food. That is bad, which means meal plan is a must. Also, blood plague is very prolific, and if you get infected, it's 10 minutes till you're dead. So you want some kind of infection resistance bonus. You can get that from the Red Talon Chef, or you can get it from just anyone with hygiene standards, basically. Another one you want is sufficient caution, or reconnaissance from the Red Talon people. Basically gives you 1 charge of rooftop recon, so you can see around you, because the radar's turned off, so you need to be able to counteract that. There's also one called emergency stashes. Now, I believe this comes from the trait likes to take things, and basically it costs 150 influence, and it will drop you a box with snacks, bullets for your gun, a can of fuel, and a repair kit at a nearby location. Pretty good emergency button if you need one. Another good one, but it's quite rare, is the car delivery service. Costs you 400 influence, but it's useful to get a car if one of yours gets juggernauted. Also, you want vehicle impact reduction, if possible. So you're very likely to get that from the Red Talon Mobile Operations Specialist, but if you're not willing to do Daybreak, then there will be some available from people who come with auto mechanics based skills. And last, stat boosts. Basically, you want health, you want stamina from your people, if possible. Look out for those and use them. Plus 5 health and plus 5 stamina is probably not worth keeping. 10 and 15, or 20 from the Red Talon people, that's really useful. Moving on to your base. You need to choose a couple of things in Nightmare mode, because you're going to be managing your resources pretty heavily. The first thing you need to work out is what built-in facilities the base you want to move into has, and whether or not they're going to be useful to you, because obviously built-in facilities don't cost a material a day to upkeep, that reduces noise and reduces your costs. The second thing is where it is. Now, there are some bases which are really nice, but they're positioned in the middle of the map or on a main road, and that can be problematic because hordes wander past, so you don't even need to be under a threat of a zombie attack to be able to get something coming in and trying to mess you up. The third thing is the entrances to your base. You need to work out what you can block off with cars, where the zombies can get in, and whether or not there's a useful place to be able to put a watchtower or sniper tower so we can see both the entry points. Because there's nothing worse than putting down a sniper tower and having a big concrete block in the way of the front door. There's also nothing worse than having an entry point to your base that's a real bottleneck that your survivors can walk into. For example, at the back of the strip mall in Drucker County, there's this tiny little entrance, which to be totally honest is more lethal to your survivors than it is to the zombies. Because your survivors will wander in there, and if a juggernaut gets in there, he's going to infect everybody. As far as facilities are concerned, again, stat boosts are useful. Focus on what you need first. So you want the infirmary, the workshop, food, blah blah blah. If you can make a small slot free, build a fighting gym, because the fighting gym gives you plus 20 health, and then you can put more weights in there which give you plus 10 more health. So it's 30 health in one facility, that's really good, and you don't even need to upgrade it. Upgrading it's pointless if you're just using it for stats. There's also the field hospital, which gives you plus 10 health, and that can be pretty useful because you can get rid of your infirmary, use a field hospital, and then you've got a free slot for the fighting gym. Another one that's very useful is one that I never really used before other than temporarily. I'd build an auto shop to just upgrade all my cars, then I'd dismantle it and build like a lounge or something. However, the auto shop, although it costs a material a day, gives you fuel efficiency, quietness reduction, and impact reduction on your vehicles. And so all in all, if you can keep a large slot free, building an auto shop is a really useful thing to have. And as an added bonus, any mods that you can put on a workshop, you can put into the auto shop. There are certain facilities from Daybreak which I would highly recommend. Those are the Watchtower and the Workshop. The Workshop gives you free repairs, crucial in Nightmare, and the Watchtower has 3 people on it and -6 zombie threat. That's amazing in Nightmare mode. As far as the utilities are concerned, keeping it quiet is a must. If you can build a still, or you've got a well in your base, or if you've got the solar array, build those, because they're silent utilities for your base. And running a generator is just foolish, because that is loud and you don't want that. You can also claim the outposts if you can make the fuel cost up. Moving on to outposts quickly, I would thoroughly recommend, just as a panic mode button, claiming a military base so you get the mortar strike. If you see a plague horde wandering past, all you need is a firecracker, throw that in the middle, the moment it starts going off, you throw the mortar strike, it'll kill all of them, including all the juggernauts. And it's 150 influence, and you get 200 back for killing 2 juggernauts. Win-win, you make some money, you get to blow some stuff up, you don't get eaten. But before moving into any of your bases, the first thing you need to do, and this is a rule for all of Nightmare mode, is scout ahead and prepare. Take some time, pause the game, get out a calculator on your phone, do some maths, work out what you need, and work out what you're going to build, work out who you need and what perks you need, because if you prepare, everything will be easier. If you just take 10 minutes and work out what you need and what you're going to build and where it's going to go, you will survive a hell of a lot longer in Nightmare mode, because you won't be stuck making decisions with a juggernaut knocking on your front door. And now moving on to the last section with enemies, I'm going to focus mainly on the groups of them that you can get. So, 3 screamers. My only tip, figure out where all 3 of them are first, so you can kill them all 1, 2, 3 rather than letting them scream, because the moment one dies, they're all going to have a hissy fit. Bloaters. 3 bloaters aren't too much of a problem. In fact, sometimes they can be quite useful if you can lure juggernauts near them, because you can throw 1 Molotov into the middle and that's like 3 grenades going off. That will do some serious damage to the juggernauts because bloaters are explosive. The third one is ferals, and to be honest, ferals are the ones that goddamn terrify me more than anything else. Having gunslinger is a must if you want to take on some ferals. You just pop all 3 of them in the head, or being an amazing shot, that works too. If you see them in the distance, stand your ground. Make them run at you because they run in straight lines and you can 1, 2, 3 them in the head. Shotguns can be useful, and in a panic situation, if you set a feral on fire, it doesn't do any damage to it really, but what it will do is make it roll around on the ground for a bit trying to put itself out, so you can get away doing that. So if you've got a Molotov, no bullets, and low health, Molotov the ferals, run like hell. Last on the zombie list we have Juggernauts. Now, a normal Juggernaut isn't too much of a threat. Plague Juggernauts are horrible. Not just because they do increase damage and they take longer to kill, but also because they infect you. And unlike the 3-hour lovely time we get to solve that problem in normal mode, 10 minutes in nightmare mode before you die and you're staggering around for that 10 minutes is horrible, especially if it's mid-fight with a Juggernaut. If you've got a bunch of 7.62 on you, preferably with a silenced weapon so you don't wake everything up around you while you're fighting it, go for it, kill the Juggernaut. B50FG, blow it to pieces, anything. Those can be useful. But when it comes to just fighting one, if you haven't got a silenced weapon, if you've got pistol, you've got rifle, you've got a shotgun, just get away from it. Obviously fight it if you want to, but for me, it's not worth the risk of fighting a Juggernaut because you take so long to kill them sometimes that you attract so much more attention from everything around you. But if you do want to kill them, mortar strike, explosives, using bloaters against them, 7.62, or just keep a 50 cal in the boot of your car at all times. The biggest killer in nightmare mode though is hostile enclaves, hostile people. Now, the best way to fight hostile enclaves is again preparation. Get in your car, drive over to where they are, circle the house or the shed or wherever they're living, okay? Listen for their gunfire. Try and work out how many guns they've got. Look at the area, work out the best way to move towards the house. Sometimes they're in those little utility sheds, and as I'm about to demonstrate in a video, that's incredibly easy to deal with, especially if you have the Echo gas launcher. But if they're not, and they're just in a normal house and you need to kill them, then you need to look around for a rooftop to get on, or something to sit on, so they can't just run up to you, and so you can take cover when you need to. Scent block is a must. Pop a scent block before fighting any hostile enclaves, because the worst thing that can happen is one of them pops you and then they're all missing you while you're getting yourself back up and you're like, yeah, I'm going to survive. Zombie comes along, hits you, you're dead. Day ruin. But again, hostile enclaves, what you want is preparation and the right gear. You want a medkit on you so you can heal yourself if you get downed. You want scent block on you to stop you from dying. You want the gas launchers and gas grenades so you can use those because they're incredible against humans. And last but not least, you need something big. You need 44 revolvers or 44 Desert Eagles. You want 7.62 rounds. Hell, if you want to go in with a B50FG and just mess them up, go for it. But you want something big. You want to be able to one-headshot them. The best gun I've found for it, to be totally honest, is either the Arctic Warrior rifle if you're doing it from range from a rooftop, or just a straight-up 6-shot 44 cal revolver, preferably one with the scope, because that one-headshots them. Might not kill them, but it'll down them. You can move on to their friend. Hostile enclaves are very dangerous, but if you prepare, you'll be fine. If you don't have powerful guns, if you're not confident with your shot, or if you really don't want to lose anyone, there is a sort of foolproof but kind of cheesy way of taking out hostile enclaves. All you need for this is a car and lots of fuel. The easiest one to do this with is the police car, because you can turn the siren on and just let it play, and you can just drive around and around and around their house. The zombies will eventually de-aggro from you and go for them. Ferals are the biggest killer. Juggernauts after that. If you've got an enclave you need to get rid of, but you don't want to threaten them straight up and try and kill them, and you're friendly enough with them, what you could do is recruit one of them as your follower for 100 influence, go somewhere, climb on a box, get the guy killed, drive back and get the next one, and slowly work them down like that. It's longer, but again, it's safer. So, safest ways are lure them one by one to a designated location and get them killed by zombies, or drive around their house in a car until they get eaten, one of the two. And that's it. I hope I kept this as concise as I wanted to. I will be doing a new video soon about all of the upgraded vehicles in the game. I'm just going to be going through all of them, that's why I didn't include any here. I hope this video helps. If anyone's on Xbox, then my gamer tag is in the description if you need help. Always happy to if I'm on, and thank you for watching.